Hey, what's going on, everybody? My name is Shadi Zane, and I'm coming on to have a discussion with the chosen right now. Have a discussion with you all. Many of you may be wondering, why were you placed into isolation? And it's actually a common theme for many of the chosen seed who end up taking a spiritual journey that leads you down a path of many changes. And one of the most common themes that we have is the hermit energy, where you end up going into isolation. You lose that connection with many of your family members, friends, associates, lovers, and it places you into this position where it's just you, the Most High, your spiritual team, and you literally are in this position where the only distractions that you have is your own mind at that point. A lot of people don't understand why they end up going through this phase, and they ask that question, well, did I do something wrong, or did I make the wrong turn? Am I really headed down the right path if this path is, one where I have to take it alone for a certain period of time? And so what ends up happening is you go into this isolation because it makes you face yourself. It pushes you to unveil and to reveal all of those deep-seated wounds that you may have suppressed or that you likely suppressed over the years. It pushes you to find yourself, to get back to your authentic nature and to relearn, to remember who you are, what you came here to do. And you end up evolving in that space. But a lot of times people have to recognize that you end up getting placed into isolation because you're being hidden in plain sight. For the chosen, there's always there's always opposition, people who don't want to see you thrive. They don't want to see you rise into your divinity. They don't want to see you in your power. Why? Because they benefit greatly from you maintaining this docile, passive, submissive, hidden energy. They benefit greatly because it inflates their ego. It places them in this position where they feel like they themselves are, in authority, or they are elevated above you. They're superior over you. You become that narcissistic supply. And so quite often, you'll find that you're isolated for your own protection. It's not all, of course, a large part of it deals with you healing, but you're isolated for your protection because in the presence of certain energy, certain people, you dimmed your light. You felt insecure. You were misused, abused, drained, taken advantage of. Your love, that kind heart, that good nature was not appreciated. And because at that time you still had not healed from certain things such as abandonment issues or insecurities or lack mentality, codependencies, it actually, being in the presence of those types of people, it fed that energy. It actually inflated and amplified those unhealthy emotions and thoughts that you had about yourself, even if these were subconscious thoughts, because likely you was not aware of the fact that you had emotional codependencies or lack mentality and things of that nature. Because when you end up going through a particular pattern and there's a repeat energy of certain circumstances, or you continuously attract the same type of people, the same type of situations, you end up getting so accustomed to it that you believe that it's the norm. You believe that that's what life is all about. Going through drama, changes, people that you can't trust, being misused and abused. You end up becoming comfortable with being uncomfortable, so much so that it doesn't give you the opportunity to really reflect and to go within to analyze, why are you accepting it? Why are you walking right into that type of energy and not seeing the warning signs from the beginning? Or when you do see the warning signs, why do you continue to pursue that situation or welcome that type of energy into your life? And it's likely because you end up staying in that pattern for so long that you literally believe it's the norm. Not just your own circumstances, but you are Also observing the circumstances of others around you, those family members who stayed in unhealthy relationships, those family members who maintained careers that they hated, where there was no room for growth, those people around you who suppressed their own creativity because they didn't believe in themselves, or those people who maintain certain belief systems because they were afraid to step outside of the box. You end up becoming your environment. And so there ends up being this repeat pattern of the same type of negative cycles. And it's not until you get placed into isolation where you begin to realize just how dangerous that environment was for you, not just mentally, physically, emotionally, but also spiritually. It was a dangerous environment. And so you get isolated for your own protection. Because, see, we're in a new age now. Being in the age of Aquarius, this is the time where things are being revealed. And it's not just being revealed as far as, the powers that were, those, corrupt systems, illusions, the matrix. It's not just about that. It's also about revealing the wounds, the deep-seated wounds that you never took the time out to address because you were so consumed with the chaos of life. It's also the time of revealing who the true nature of the people that you had in your intimate circle. Like, many of the chosen had outright enemies. I'm talking about enemies that would have sold you out for the right price. Enemies that wanted to see you down and out, enemies that never wanted to see you thriving. Anytime you announced that something was good, these was people that was sending you the evil eye, that was hoping that you would go backwards, hoping that you would, end up having to start all over again. You were surrounded. You was literally in the midst of a war. And for a long time, you didn't even realize it. And so this is the time where the head becomes the tail. And so things are shifting, things are turning, to the point where righteousness is now being, is rising up to be at the forefront of what power looks like. And those who lack integrity on on an intimate level or on a global scale level are now being revealed. They're now being exposed. And so it's that type of energy where you are starting to recognize in that hermit mode energy, in that isolation, just how dangerous it was. You start to awaken your spiritual gifts, your spiritual eyes. That third eye begins to open, and now suddenly everybody looks different. No one looks the way that you used to view them. And matter of fact, some of them look downright scary because you start to see the darkness, the low vibrational energy that they really carried, the demons that they really, carried. And so you start to question everybody and everything. And it's not an unhealthy thing because what's happening is you're starting to see people for who they are. Whereas in the past, you might have saw that aunt as being someone who was just had a smart mouth, or she's just mean, she's just arrogant. But when you start to look at her through your spiritual eyes after you've gone through your awakening, you start to see that she got demons on her. You start to see that she's the type of person that will be willing to sacrifice you for the right price. You start to see that this is someone who literally hates you. And for a long time, you just tolerated it because you never saw it from the spiritual perspective. You was only looking at these people through your natural eyes. And so the isolation becomes that much more important because then you start to realize just how vital it is, how important it is to maintain your peace of mind and to maintain your distance from certain people, places, things. You start to see the spiritual ramifications of having that energy in your life. I don't care if it's even on a small scale. You start to realize that any bit of communication or interaction, it has the potential to have a massive impact on your reality because this thing is more spiritual than it is physical. And so you begin to realize that intermingling your energy on any level with the wrong types of energies is like is poisons. And so the isolation is very necessary. Not only that, but the energy at that time when you begin to awaken is highly sensitive. It's almost like you go through this death and this rebirth. And so as you're in this rebirth, you're transforming. And in that time of transformation, if you think about a fetus, you think about a child that is being nurtured in the womb of its mother. That child needs to be in the healthiest environment possible in order for development to happen in the healthiest way. And so if you invite toxic energy into that space, that sacred space of development, then it's going to alter the outcome of that child when it's birthed. And so you are being placed in that sacred space when you're in hermit mode where you want to keep your energies pure, because at that time, the only thing that you should be focused on is releasing, purifying, uh, peeling back layers and layers of that in the authentic version of who you became when you was amongst the sheeple, when you were conditioned to become someone that you truly were not. This is you in the process of finding yourself and learning about who you truly are, what you truly like. How do you really believe? What do you really think? Without the influence of unhealthy individuals. Because the fact of the matter is, before you awakened, a large part of your belief systems, how you moved, how you perceived yourself, how you perceived life was likely influenced by low vibrational beings who had no understanding. They couldn't even conceptualize the understanding of spirituality and taking the narrow path and what this existence is really all about, because all of them had been indoctrinated. Most of them had been indoctrinated to believe a particular thing that kept them boxed in. And so they were fearful of exploring and understanding from a higher perspective. They were fearful of healing because many of them understood that the healing process would mean isolating and getting rid of a lot of addictions and ego, unhealthy ego, pride, and just their carnal nature. And so you are set aside for a good reason, because you're chosen, you're different, you're very unique, and you've been built for this process. You was built to go into isolation and to find comfort in that space. So a lot of people that don't end up making it down this journey because they get so uncomfortable being in their own company, like they're highly codependent on the energy of others, to the point where if even if their life depended on it, they still would not be able to release the unhealthy connections because they need to feel validated by being able to say, I have this many people in my circle. Even if the relationships are disingenuine, they still need to be able to say for egotistical purposes, that they have a lot of friends or a lot of family members and this and that, knowing that the relationships are unhealthy, knowing that they don't even like each other, but they'll still cling to that. And so many of those people, they get called to take the path, but they will not do it. They refuse to because they just can't. The idea of not being able to say that they have that many people in their social circle is, they can't fathom it. But you, as a chosen seed, many of the chosen seed, if not most chosen seeds, are generally more introverted than they are extroverts. And so that hermit mode is actually very comfortable. It could be uncomfortable to some degree when you first start out, because you might question, well, am I doing the right thing by releasing this person, or no longer feeling the desire to interact? Because sometimes it's not even you having to go out of your way to release people like that. It's not like the cutoff is that hard for you to do. You begin to question, well, why don't I have the desire to interact with these people? And so you start to question yourself. You start to wonder if you're okay, if your mind is functioning all right, because you literally have zero desire to be in the company of people who you may have had an emotional codependency on at one point. But that's exactly where you want to be. It means that you're healing when you are lacking that desire to be in the company of unhealthy individuals. It means that you are starting to find the value in peace of mind. And that in turn means that you are starting to value yourself and you starting to really operate from that space of self-love. And so a lot of times when you first get on the journey, again, the question is, why is everybody falling away? Why am I no longer desiring to be amongst other people? And that's the answer. The answer is because it's time for that transformation. And that transformation has to be done absent low vibrational energies, because you already have to deal with your own low vibrational energies. The transformation is all about purging all of those low vibrational thoughts, fears, lack mentality, codependencies, addictions, anything, insecurities, anything that you can think of that will prevent you from rising into your divinity and becoming the best version of yourself. That hermit mode energy puts you in a space where you have to purge and vomit up all of that. And so that in and of itself is more than enough to have to work through. But trying to do it in the company of naysayers and, people who are in lack mentality and in fear and denial about their existence, that makes that process that much harder. And it has the potential to postpone your blessings and those things that you would like to manifest. It has the potential to postpone you from being able to step into your purpose, because you'll have people around you that's constantly trying to remind you of who you used to be while you're in a process of becoming a totally new creature. And so then you end up having that tug of war of energies, trying to figure out, well, is this who I am? And am I tripping? Am I, and you start to question yourself. And so this is why the Most High says, no, I'm not even going to put my child in a position where they have to uh, fight with themselves to figure out if this is the right thing. No, I'm going to shift every portion of their life to ensure that they have no choice but to go into isolation. Now, of course, free will always exists. You can resist and go against what is being, you can go against the changes that's happening in your life, but it's going to bring karma that's ultimately going to end up placing you back into hermit mode. And so it's like, you might as well embrace it and utilize that time, because that's what it's all about, using that time so that by the time you come out of that isolation, you are shining, you are vibing high, you are free of all of that low vibrational energy. You are stepping into your purpose. You know who you are. You're organic. You're transparent. You are in your creativity. I mean, you're manifesting, you're calling in, you're operating from love, all of these different things. You're setting healthy boundaries. You're not afraid to tell people no. Okay. You're not afraid to say your energy is not healthy for me. So you cut people. The moment you see something that don't feel right, you on top of it. You will not allow yourself to go too far down a path to where you got to work your way back off of a doggone karmic cycle all over again. You come out in your power. That's the whole point of going into hermit mode. And so embrace that. If you find that you're just now taking the journey and you're like, well, why is this happening? Embrace it. Just know that you're going to get to a place. If you're not comfortable with it now, you will end up getting comfortable. And sometimes you can end up getting so comfortable that you don't even want to come out of the cocoon. You don't even want to come out of hermit mode. You don't even want to get back into interacting with others, because it becomes that peaceful. But then that's another part of the transformation where you learn what type of company to keep. And because you know how to weed people out and you have discernment and you know how to use your intuition to understand others' energies and who's good for you and who's not, then you start to attract people who are genuine. But you also know how to find that balance between connecting with others and knowing when to pull back in order to get back connected with self. So you come out on top either way it goes, attracting your soul tribe and repelling those who are not a part of your soul tribe. So just remember that your isolation literally has saved your life. It has saved you on more levels than you could possibly imagine, because those people who were karmics in your life did not mean you well. And many of the beautiful things that's coming in, you would not be able to obtain or grab hold of had you maintained unhealthy, false relationships. So embrace it, enjoy it, give thanks for it, and use it to your advantage to become the best version of yourselves. So that's my message for you all. If you find that it resonates, please be sure to like and subscribe, and I'll talk to you all next time.